Welcome to the Out of Bounds podcast. This is your host, Jabril McKeithen. Just wanted to shout out Anchor real quick. Thank you guys, Anchor. If you guys don't know what Anchor is a free streaming website. It allows you to create and edit your own podcast right from your phone, y'all. Right from your phone or your computer, whichever one y'all choose to do. It is free, which is who doesn't love free, man? Who don't love free? But Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you on streaming sites such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many other podcast sites that you probably don't know about or just are unaware about. If you didn't know, also, Anchor will allow you to make a little bit of money from your podcast as well, which is always a great thing. We love to do that. It's basically just everything you need to make a podcast. It's just right in there. If you guys are interested, go check it out. Download the free Apple or Anchor app, and then you could go to anchor.fm to get started and start editing your stuff. All right, y'all. Let's get into the podcast with your host, Jabril McKeithen. Welcome to the Out of Bounds podcast. Welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast with your host Jabril McKeithen. I know it's been a while, y'all, but let's get into the podcast. If you guys like what you're seeing, please leave a like. If you're seeing this on YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment. If you guys really like what you're enjoying, please subscribe. Don't feel upset to subscribe, y'all. I'm sure you're going to like the content, but let's get into it. As of March 23rd, 11:05 p.m., the Sixers are currently 30-13 within the Eastern Conference. We're first. The Nets are trailing right behind us, a game behind. They're currently 29-14. And then another team that's kind of shocking, kind of a very surprising team is the Celtics, as they're 21-22, currently 8th in the Eastern Conference. Kind of shocking. I'm sure Celtics fans didn't expect that, but they just have been playing like garbage. I can't put it any other way than that. They don't have a good big man. Jason Tatum isn't. Well, I shouldn't say isn't. I haven't really been watching the Celtics, but from what I've seen, based off what the Sixers have played, Jason Tatum isn't really panning out to what he should be. Jaylen Brown has been playing as great as he possibly can. I've seen him balling. I know he dropped like 10 threes or 9 threes it was against the I'm not sure, against the Pacers it was. It was against the Pacers. He was playing good against them. So I know Jaylen Brown has been balling out this year. So props to him. Jason Tatum, he's got to step it up, but I'm not really too worried about that. Let's get into some other things. Let's get into trade talks that the Sixers have been going through. Adrian Wojnarowski, if you don't know, Mr. Woj Bomb himself, he's been dropping a lot of things as the trade deadline is March 25th, as that's coming up along. So, as everyone knows, the Sixers are looking at Kyle Lowry as a very substantial trade target. And right now, he's reporting that the Heat and the Sixers are kind of the front runners to get him. We'll see what happens. They're saying that Lowry wants to go to the Heat more because of his friendship with Jimmy Butler. But Kyle Lowry is also from Philadelphia, so that could also be playing more of a major role for him. We'll see what happens. But beyond that, he says the Sixers have shown interest in other guards that are available in the marketplace, such as Norman Powell, who's been balling out this year, Lonzo Ball, and George Hill. I like Lonzo Ball just because he does play good defense. He's also a good playmaker, so I would like that. I wouldn't be mine if he came to our team. I'm not sure if he would be a starter or if he would come off the bench as a six-man role, but I'm sure he'd probably be starting just because he does add that defensive edge to our team. And, you know, with Doc Rivers, our team is a very great defensive team, way better than what we were last year. Even with Al Horford, it's just a very great defensive team with players such as Tobias Harris stepping up, Danny Green playing great defense. He's a 3-and-D player, as we know, and Ben Simmons, who is a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. So let's get into that a little bit. The NBA.com just released their Defensive Player of the Year ladder. Rudy Gobert is at the top with his 9 blocks, his career high 9 blocks last night. So Ben Simmons is at 2, Miles Turner is at 3, Giannis Antetokounmpo is at 4, and then TJ McConnell is at 5, which I kind of thought was shocking, but I know he is being a defensive presence. He's getting a lot of steals, disrupting, playing great defense on the perimeter and all that. So teams definitely do like that. But those are the top 5 released by the NBA themselves. We'll see what happens. I hope Ben Simmons honestly ends up winning it. He continuously keeps playing great defense, keeps bringing the pressure on defense, the intensity on defense that we all like and know that he can be playing. Just needs to step it up on offense a little bit more, in my opinion. But we all know the defense is there. But let's get into the game that we're going to be breaking down today. It was the game against the Knicks, which was played the 21st, I believe. Yeah, the 21st. And if you guys did watch the game, if you guys are fans of defense, this is the type of game that you guys are going to enjoy. The type of games that the old heads would like to see, if you want to call them that. But during that game, it was in the first quarter, it was pretty good. The Sixers were going up. They had Furkan Korkmaz and Ben Simmons really starting it off, getting us into the flow of the offense. They are really the ones that are stepping up, making the plays. Furkan hit like I think it was three threes within the first quarter, and it was looking. I thought we was going to end up blowing this team out just because of that. In the first quarter, Ben Simmons had a posterizer off of a nice little no-look pass. Got a little poster on I believe it was Nerlens Wells. It was looking good. I thought we was going to be good in the first quarter, and I thought we was just going to keep running away with it in the rest of the game. But as I said, Simmons and Korkmaz, it was the Simmons and Korkmaz shows, y'all. Because Korkmaz was the only one scoring for us. Ben Simmons was the only one scoring. It was looking pretty slow. No one else could get into a rhythm, especially Tobias Harris. That was a kind of a theme throughout the night. Tobias Harris really couldn't get into a rhythm for himself. Couldn't get the shots that we know he could get. Couldn't get up to the 22, 20-point scoring game that we usually know that he is capable of. It was kind of upsetting, but we know he is capable of. This was kind of a little slump for him. But I'm sure he's going to step it up. This is a good Knicks team who plays good defense, and I wasn't really too upset about it. We ended up with the win at the end, so I can't really be too mad with how Tobias Harris played. But getting into a little bit in the first quarter. In the first quarter, they got a little bit cold, and the Knicks started getting to the offense a little bit. That should be expected, especially with teams in the NBA. They can be able to get into the offense, especially with Julius Randle, who's been playing at an all-star level, playing very good this year. So we should be expecting them to not be blown out. This is a good Knicks team, y'all, especially with Tom Thibodeau as their coach. He's definitely instilling the defensive mindset that was, if you guys know, from the Chicago Bulls years when he was there. He made them a very great defensive team. And as we all know, if you know Tom Thibodeau, he plays his all-stars to the best of their ability, plays them as much as they can with high minutes, and make sure that they're in the game. But at the end of the first, one thing I noticed was a lot of turnovers, a little sloppy play towards the end. They were able to get back into the game, make it only an 8-point game instead of being up by 11 and stuff. But that was one of the things I noticed within the first. But as I said, the game was very scrappy towards the end of the first, and the offense really wasn't just flowing for us. We only had 23 points as compared to the last game in the Kings, which I was unable to recap for y'all. But we scored like 43 in the first quarter. So to see us go from 43 to 23, obviously the defense based off the Knicks was playing a major role in that. So moving on to the second quarter a little bit, I thought that Tobias had to get his points, had to get into a rhythm, had to find some way to start making his shots, starting to get shots to fall. But thankfully, he was able to get to the free throw line a little bit, so that was good to see him. If you get to the free throw line, you get a little more comfortable, get your flow, get into the flow of the game, you know. So it's nice to see that. Shake, I thought he had to put up a little bit more shots. I feel like he was being a little bit too passive in the first quarter. I think he only pulled up like 2 shots. And I thought, honestly, if you're the sixth man of our team, Shake, and I know that Shake can be a great sixth man for our team, he should be putting up a little bit more. And I knew he could end up doing that. He finished with, I believe, it was 21 points. So we know that Shake Milton can put up points in big numbers. 20 points off the bench is great, especially with our bench being a little slow. Not as good as most benches, as we know, especially with Joel Embiid out, who's our main scorer. It was definitely a lot. We should be seeing a lot more from our bench because Ben Simmons hasn't really been stepping it up, especially from when he had his 42-point game. He's kind of been slowing down a little bit. And one thing I've been noticing about Ben Simmons recently, especially in the past couple of games, is turnovers. Maybe it's time to talk about Ben Simmons and see maybe he does have a turnover problem. Because he had 7 turnovers this game, and honestly, I feel like that's not acceptable, especially if he's going to be playing the point guard position. 7 turnovers is just unacceptable. He had 4 assists, so that turnover ratio is pretty terrible. That's under 1, so that's all y'all need to know. That's not good enough, especially if you're going to be playing point guard, bringing the ball up first. Turnovers has to be limited, but I understand he's a big player. He's probably going to be drawing charges a lot more and getting a lot more offensive fouls just because he is aggressive. So honestly, I hope that ends up becoming not as much as a problem as it was in this game, because a lot of those turnovers definitely helped the Knicks get into their flow of the offense and get back into the game. But let's get back into the second quarter. Shake Milton started hitting a couple of shots. I think he had 10 in the second quarter, so it was nice to see that he started heating it up a little bit. And then let's shout out Danny Green a little bit, y'all. If y'all watching the game, he had a whole bunch of hustle plays. He wasn't really doing much on offense till later into the game, but his defense was there. He was a great defensive presence, and we love to see that because, especially as I said earlier in this video, Doc Rivers is definitely a defensive coach. And to see him be able to bring out this defensive presence, it was great for our team, and that led to a bunch of jump balls that led to offensive buckets or getting us the offensive possession in general. And he was just being a great hand. He finished defensively. He finished with 5 steals and 3 blocks. So what more can we ask from a small forward shooting guard position to get 5 steals and 3 blocks? What more can we ask for? As I said, he's a great defensive presence, great pickup, great shooter in the end. We seen that towards the end. So it was great to see him finally be able to show the defensive presence that we all know he could be. But back into Shake Milton a little bit, I seen Shake Milton sent Emmanuel Quickly flying off my screen yet again, just like I said about Miles Turner in the Pacers video. I was looking at the game, and he sent that boy to the baseline. That was crazy, but Shake, once again, I got to shout you out, man. I love you, brother. I hope you keep balling out. I hope you is watching these videos, but we'll see. I love what you're doing. You got to keep it up. I like this. I like to in my own little head, I like to see I like to compare Shake and James Harden a little bit, just based off their play style. Shake Milton gets a lot of quick crossovers, and it looks James Harden-esque. He gets quick crossovers, crosses you up, and gets to the basket just about as easy as James Harden can. I know it's not the same scoring rate, the same efficiency, but it is nice to see those little quick crossovers and get you on your feet, get you on your toes, on your heels, and then send Emmanuel Quickly flying and sent Miles Turner flying. So he's somebody you got to be worried about. But the Sixers were able to get a little bit of separation in the second quarter. We were up by 11 at one point. I think that was the highest lead we had, or it was 14. I believe it was either 11 or 14. But we were up by double digits at one point, and at that point, I thought we got to keep them. You got to keep the Knicks at bay. We got to be able to keep scoring. The defense was looking great in the first half. I believe we held them to the 43. I think it was 43 or 42 points, which is you can't really ask for much, especially in basketball. You got to keep them to as low as you possibly can. 42 points in a half is pretty good. And yeah, that was really the first half, a bunch of scrappy defense. The offenses, both teams weren't really able to get much going for them, but the defense just kept balling, kept hustling, kept playing aggressive on either side. And at that point, it was just going to be who made the most buckets at the end of the third quarter. In this game, it really wasn't too much offense to be talking about. It wasn't too much crazy stuff, too many offensive plays that stood out to me. But it was a whole bunch of defense, and one play that stood out into the third quarter, if you guys saw, it was a flagrant foul called on Tony Bradley, which I kind of thought was a bunch of bogus. The refs, everyone says that the league is pretty soft, and I think you could honestly agree with it at this point, especially if you're looking at the flagrant foul that got called on Tony Bradley. It was a bunch of BS in my eyes. It definitely should have been a flagrant. If anything, Julius Randle probably should have got the flagrant in my eyes. That's what I seen. He's over there smacking Ben Simmons, smacking Tony Bradley on his head after the play. And Tony Bradley he grabbed his leg a little bit, but I believe, like the announcers were saying, if you watch the Sixers announcers, they said he was probably just doing it just to brace his fall because he's falling on top of him. He doesn't want to hurt him or hurt himself. So I don't know. I feel like that flagrant shouldn't have been called, but that gave him a couple of free throws, and it ended up that Julius Randle ended up making both of those free throws. So that definitely could have altered the game in ways that could have made us lose at the end of it. But other than that, the Knicks started to get into a little bit of a flow. They started getting up on us at one point. They were up by 4 at one point. They started doing us a little dirty. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a little bit of raps for us because we couldn't really get much going for us. So I thought the Knicks were going to get into a little bit of a flow, get into a rhythm, and get into their own run. At one point, they went on like a 13-0 run to get themselves back into the game. But thankfully, our defense is good enough. Doc Rivers has instilled a great defensive presence, great defensive mindset into our players to make sure that teams aren't going to be able to go on these great runs that most teams are, especially since we've seen in the earlier stages of this season, get into a whole bunch of runs that we've seen in the past. But like I said, Doc Rivers, great defensive coach, and our defense, and it was able to be shown in this game. Third quarter really wasn't much to talk about, just defense. Bunch of great blocks, bunch of great hustle plays by Danny Green, Furkan Korkmaz, Ben Simmons, all of them making great defensive plays. And then other than that, let's get into the fourth quarter. Let's get into the final moments of the game. Shake Milton was able to get into the fourth quarter with 20 points, and we love to see that. We know that Shake Milton could be a bucket for our team, a great six-man off our team. and Thibault was able to finally get a three. And in all honesty, I love Matisse Thybulle, but he has to hit these threes that he's getting because a bunch of them are wide open. I know he does play great defense. He had 2 blocks in this game, but if he can hit those corner threes or wherever he's at, threes at the top of the key, that's going to be wonders for our team because he's wide open most of the time. And with Tobias Harris or Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid getting a whole bunch of double teams, getting the defense to look at them and find out where they are rather than Matisse Thybulle, that would be great for him to shoot. Maybe if he can shoot 60% from three, that's going to be great in games. That's going to be able to cause separation from a bunch of the good teams such as the Bucks, such as the Nets, such as the Lakers, Clippers, Mavericks, Blazers, teams who can get hot, can shoot, can blow you out if they really want to. But Matisse has been playing great defense, so I guess I can't really be asking for too much. But if he can start hitting these threes, it's going to do wonders for our team. But towards the end, in the beginning stages of the fourth quarter, it really wasn't much. Still a scrappy game, back and forth. Every time it would be either a tie or a lead change by like 2, 3, and then it would be tied once again. As I keep saying, it was just a very scrappy game, a very grindy game, grit game, and towards the end we were able to get a couple of threes, and then get us back into the game. At one point, Alex Burks was heating up. If you guys don't remember, the Sixers had Alex Burks last year, and I kind of wanted them to re-sign him in the offseason. Unfortunately, he went to the Knicks. I think it was on like a 2-year or a 1-year deal. So he's there now, and he was showing like, hey, like you guys shouldn't have let me go. I'm balling on y'all right now. And Alex Burks finished with 20. So to have him on our bench, that definitely would have helped us if we could have been able to sign him. He's showing us how much we missed him, how much of an offensive presence he is for, especially since he's on the Knicks. He's been balling. He's almost there. He's their sixth man for the Knicks. But in that game, we had a couple of turnovers towards the end. It was looking pretty sloppy. Once again, we get a little sloppy towards the end of quarters. That's also a trend I've been noticing with the Sixers. We got to fix those little mistakes that keep coming up for us. But we were able to get ourselves a lead. Tobias was hitting a couple of shots. Matisse was hitting a 3 in the clutch. Danny Green had a nice little floor to put us up 88, put us up by 3. And then a little heartbreaker at the end of the fourth quarter. Julius Randle was able to do a step back 3 in the corner that bounced off the front of the rim, off the top of the backboard, and into the rim. And that tied it up to send us to overtime. And I was so upset that we had to go to overtime with the Knicks, man. That was depressing because I just wanted this game to be over with because of how sloppy it was, how just it was. In all honesty, most Sixers fans were saying that this was an L. In all honesty, just because of how sloppy it was, how bad we were playing. We finished with a whole bunch of turnovers. We finished with 19 turnovers. In all honesty, we probably shouldn't have won this game. But thankfully, in the overtime, we were able to break away and just be able to beat this team by, it was 101 to 100, be able to beat them by a couple of free throws that was given to us by the refs. I was sitting there watching the game, and I was like, ooh, that's a bad call, ref, but I ain't going to be mad. Because it was in our favor. We were able to get the free throws, get to the line. And then we ultimately ended up winning it. So I can't be mad, and that made us 30-13. That's OT. It was kind of back and forth. Alex Burks, as I said, he kept showing up. He showed us how much the Sixers needed his scoring, how much the impact was, how much of an impact he was. And Danny Green was able to get us back-to-back threes, put us up 94-93. And then Simmons was able to put up another score, get us up by 3. And then that's really all it was. Like I said, a couple of fouls, no backcourt call. There was one, in the overtime, I wanted to talk about this. In overtime, there was one call where Alex Burks had the ball, Ben Simmons was on him, and then he lost it, ran to the backcourt, he dribbled it. He was the only one that touched it, and Shake Milton was behind, but he was the only one to touch it, and they didn't call it backcourt on them. And I was like, dang, because it led to a 3 from Reggie Bullock, so I was kind of upset. The Knicks fans were mad that the refs gave us the game, but if we want to be honest, that call led to a Knicks 3 that put them up. So I don't want to hear nothing from you Knicks fans. If Knicks fans see this video, I don't want to hear nothing from y'all because y'all got away with one. So I will gladly take a no call for a bad call. I would definitely take that. But Tobias Harris got the call. He got to the free throw line, hit his 2 free throws. And yeah, that took us to 101 to 100 against the Knicks, ultimately leading us to a victory against them. Very scrappy, very grit and grind game. And like I said, if you the old heads who think the NBA is too no defense, this is a whole bunch of this is the game that you need to watch. But that was really the whole game from there. Right now, as I said, the Sixers are 30-13, 11-9 in away games, which is a lot better than our record was last year. Can't tell you the record off the top of my head, but I know that we were a terrible road team, and I gotta blame that on Brett Brown, and that's probably the ultimate reason why he was fired, why he's not there with us now. But seeing Doc Rivers is there, one of the greatest pickups in the offseason, it's showing how great his influence is, how much of an impact he's having on this team, especially with a better road record than it was before. Our home record is still looking good, so I can't really be complaining with the impact that Doc Rivers has had. But that's really all I had to talk to y'all about today. That was the Knicks game. That's what I seen from the Knicks game, at least. There wasn't nothing too substantial to really be talking about in that game. Like I said, defense, offense wasn't really in the rhythm, and that was really it. But is there anything else to really talk about? Honestly, no. I think I went over everything that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, right now we're playing the Warriors. We're up by a whole bunch of points on them because they don't have Steph Curry. We don't have Steph. I kind of want to see the brothers go at each other, see who was the better Curry, because usually Steph Curry, I know in one game Steph Curry was balling in the Trailblazers, and he was balling against him, and that ultimately helped them lead the Trailblazers to a win. So I was kind of wanting to see what the two Curry brothers was like, see what it would be like in that atmosphere, see what they would be playing against each other. But unfortunately, both of them are injured right now. Prayers up to Steph Curry. Hopefully he gets back healthy. And yeah, that's really all it is for today, y'all. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the Out of Bounds podcast. I said in the beginning, if you do enjoy what you're liking, if you do enjoy what you're liking, please leave a subscription. Please leave a comment. If you guys want, leave your thoughts. I'll debate with you in the comment section, see what you guys think about the game, see what you guys think about the Sixers. And yeah, one last little note. I did want to shout someone up. Recently, the Sixers did just get sponsored by Hennessy, so I don't got nothing to show y'all, but hey, man, Sixers, we love what you doing, man. Keep it up. Keep getting them sponsorships. But yeah, y'all, that's all. I hope you guys did enjoy the Out of Bounds podcast. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.